All right. I have no doubt that like the various versions of your deck end up being really expensive, just like due to all of the like the cards that you are playing in it. No, no, no. It's not like any given deck. It's just like a handful of the recent like 2019-ish cards are really expensive on Magic Online for some reason. Um, I don't know why exactly. Supply and demand question mark, but it is a thing. Anyway, hey folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. I received a donation from Min H a couple weeks back. He just like ranched me on stream with Oko, and I was like a little sad about it. And so he donated and said, "Play an Oko deck," and that was fair. Like he got me. So I was intending on playing this like Kin and Bonder Prodigy deck that I was just kind of talking about, but it was like $900 to rent all of the stuff that I needed. So I found a different Oko deck. So this deck, oh, that makes sense. Like Uro is a multi-format all-star. Okay, yeah. I don't like my view of Magic is so narrow because I'm only focused on Legacy, but like yeah, if it's in like everything from Legacy up, that makes a lot of sense. Anyway, so I'm going to play this Waterfalls deck instead. In case you're not familiar with this, you use Shardless Agent and Bloodbraid Elf to cascade into Ancestral Visions and Crashing Footfalls, and then you get to cast them ignoring the whole Suspend side of the deck. Similarly, if you get one of these cards into your graveyard, you can then flash it back with Dreadhorde Arcanist, and that's pretty disgusting. Like, attack, draw 3 cards, or attack, create 8 power for free. That's pretty silly. I don't remember if I said this after I started recording, but the Tarmogoyf in this deck list should be a Brazen Borrower, but this pile of cards cost me like 499.1 ticks or something like that to rent of my $500 loan account. So I made a substitution just with a card that I already had in my collection. I don't think it's a bad substitution. Like, you lose a few outs to random situations, but like, you're rarely disappointed to draw a Tarmogoyf, you know? Um, Other interesting things in this deck include a copy of Klothys, God of Destiny, which I've been pretty impressed with in various red-green X shells. It's like life stabilization versus Delver. It's a slow burn versus control decks. It doesn't always win a game on its own because like things like Oko and Uro provide enough life gain that like you can potentially dig yourself out of the hole that like Klothys has dug. But it's very strong. Notably, this deck has no non-pitch counterspells because of the interactions with Shardless Agent and Bloodbraid Elf. The sideboard doesn't have anything too exciting here. Mystical Dispute is a sideboard counterspell that you can play that normally is going to cost 1 that like you're not going to cascade into with Shardless Agent, but you can still cascade into with Bloodbraid Elf. So, And Cindervines is about the only other exciting thing in the sideboard. It's good artifact or enchantment removal, while like randomly being annoying versus combo decks. I don't have too much to say about this. We played very similar decks to this before on stream, so let's just kind of jump into it. No, we're not playing in a Legacy Challenge, we're playing in a Legacy League. Update from the last stream. I did get reimbursed for the Trinisphere Chalice of the Void bug. It is a known bug, so that's good. Like, they are aware of it. Whether or not that means they are actually going to fix it in a timely fashion, who knows, but, like, I'm not the only one who has encountered that at this point. If you have a Trinisphere in play, you cannot cast a Chalice of the Void for X equals 1 for 3 mana. You have to pay 4 mana for it. They changed the templating on how Trinisphere or Chalice of the Void works, and the result was disastrous. Uh, it's pretty frustrating for me in particular because, like, I would have played more games with the deck that I was playing on stream. Was that 2 days ago? If not for that bug, because I really enjoyed that deck. Does my hand do anything? I have Force, Pitch a Brainstorm. If my opponent does something degenerate. If they do something fair, hopefully I just like find a green source and suspend a Crashing Footfalls on turn 2. Reluctant keep. I don't think this hand is great. Sure. My opponent's doing something unfair, that just takes my Force of Will. It'd be super cool if they took my Crashing Footfalls, though. Put it in the graveyard, then I like draw Dreadhorde Arcanist, put it into play, get 8 power for free. Oh, no, they're doing something unfair. Probably. Next turn, I can cantrip twice to find counterspells. I'm going to treat this as the only pressure card I need to play the entire game and just suspend this now. And, like, if I just get turned 2 by Ant or something like that for doing this, like, I'm just going to accept that. But, like, this is an incredible clock that will kill my opponent in 2 turns when we get around to it later. Okay. They took the island. Yeah, I guess I can't cantrip twice off a forest. So I don't know exactly what my opponent is playing. They could be playing a Depths variant that is just like a little slower and plays Hymn to Torok in game 1. Yeah, looks like that's the case. Oh, that's more indicative of something like lands. Hello, Tarmogoyf. Like, just hold that thought for just a minute. So, my take is that my opponent is on a non-traditional Depths build. I have not seen Riftstone Portal in a Depths deck in a long time. My opponent gets to pretty easily race me as of right now. Like, they can very comfortably just get a Thespian stage followed by a Merilage and kill me. Now they sacrifice the Riftstone Portal so that their Depths will tap for mana. Sort of like, oddly enough, if this was the Brazen Borrower and I drew an island for my turn, we would, like, potentially win this game. I say potentially because, like, my opponent also just might, like, have crop rotation for Sajiri Step or something like that and just, like, utterly bully me. Alright, I've made Rhinos. This game isn't a total loss. Yes, I would like to cast this. Alright, more Rhinos? More Rhinos. Let's see if they see the line of killing me. Hmm? They have seen the line. So, because of Riftstone Portal, any of his lands are going to gain the ability to tap for green or white, and that is going to include Dark Depths itself. Yep, so there's the Spirit Guide, and Bob's your uncle. We shall try again. Alright, what do we have? Submerge is disgusting. Blood Moon is probably fine. A Braid to remove Reclaimers or Bobs or something of that ilk is probably okay. That's probably about all I will sideboard. My opponent has access to Bojuka Bog, so maybe I trim on some of the graveyard-related stuff a little bit, whether that's like Tarmogoyf or Uro. So essentially, to stop combo cards, I have this. Stop the creatures associated with them, I have this, plus a Braid, plus Submerge. My opponent's discard makes getting the Uro into play potentially a little bit easier than normal. I maybe don't need to bury my opponent in card advantage. I just need to like resolve one of these quickly off like a Shardless Agent, or like have them hit me, put it in the graveyard, and then do this. And like that's how I steal games. So maybe I just try to cut some of the slower stuff from my deck and just keep more of my spells that do things early. Seems fine. I don't think I want to go like Tormod's Crypt levels of deep or sideboarding here. I could think about Cindervines, like that's something that's great to cascade into, but I don't know about that. I guess like I have a Submerge to stop the first Merit Lodge, so it's really hard to throw this hand back. Just kind of awkward in that like if I want to have access to red mana, I need to use a Scalding Tarn to fetch red. I think I'm okay with getting wastelanded if like that takes up my opponent's entire turn. Goodbye, Submerge. I hardly knew thee. That's a fine draw. So this may be a time where I want to ponder and try to set the second card down up for a Shardless Agent, rather than like ponder looking for the best specific card. Yeah, that's not super what I'm looking for. Definitely feel kind of naked here. Yeah, that's fine. That's like actually one of the better things that could have happened for us. It gives us a target for this lightning bolt. Something order. Alright, let's spin the wheels, see if something cool happens. I could really use something cool happening. Hey, that's good enough. I'm naked right now, but if I can make it 2 more turns, I'm probably in okay shape at that point. Yeah, Wasteland, like, totally good with that when I have Ancestral Visions ticking up. Down, ticking down, I guess, is more accurate. Plan out this turn. Let's put back land, land. Play this, attack with the Shardless Agent, and then, like, Sylvan Library plus Ancestral is pretty gross. I guess, like, we're getting duels at this point. That's fair, but, like, my opponent won for wanting me when, like, Ancestral is happening. Is not the best. Also not the best is this draw. I think this is a case where I want to brainstorm and then fetch away two of these lands rather than try to set up like another Shardless Agent. I would have gotten. I guess I can still set up Shardless Agent by like putting a land on top, Ancestral below it. Actually, I have a number of ways to just Shardless. Like, do I want 3 more cards or do I want the Oko in play this turn? I'll leave the Oko in play this turn, and I can take an Ancestral next turn if I want. Just put back like this, use this to draw. I don't know, there's Force of Will to think about. But like getting Oko in play means that like I can put myself above 21, which is big game. Let's do this, this land, this Planeswalker. Make a food. So this represents the ability to draw 3 next turn looking for a Force of Will and also going larger than 20 life, which also matters. I think I'm going to Shardless and take my life right here, or take my 3 cards right here, try to find Force of Will plus blue card. And then this still leaves me. Oh, I guess this leaves me with the ability to go to 20, not 21. That's incredibly awkward, isn't it? Because of fetch land, so I fetched to 17, gained 3 life. I guess that's an elk now. And just hope they can't kill me. I probably played this turn wrong. I just like die to a number of things. And I'm gonna hold up mana of like representing that I have something like Brazen Borrower. Otherwise I will just end of turn bolt my opponent. Okay, did not play that game optimally, we got there anyway. We also showed my opponent Submerge, so they get to be at least a little bit scared. Tarmogoyf not being Brazen Borrower means that I don't actually have that many outs to Merit Lodge. Not like one of the things this deck is built to beat. This deck is just meant to go bigger than a lot of other like aggro and mid-range decks, while having enough counter spells to deal with most combo decks. This is an unimpressive hand that I think I keep. I just don't think I have that many like all-star hands in this matchup, so I don't think I get the luxury of like mulliganing aggressively when I'm probably just getting thought seized on turn one a good portion of the time anyway. Probably looking at an end of my opponent's turn brainstorm, try to smooth things out a little bit. And then go from there. Alright, my opponent has an awkward hand in terms of their mana. Hopefully I can take advantage of that. Now it's a question of like, do I tap out for the Sylvan Library or the Arcanist? Both are very good abrupt decay targets for my opponent. This one like technically pressures my opponent's life total and like maybe gets out of control, but like this lets me dig a little bit faster towards a counterspell, which like I very much feel like I need. There's also a world where I just like try to brainstorm and ponder this turn and find counter magic. I think I'm going to value this and hope that maybe at some point in the game we get like him to Turok or something and it works out favorably for me. This also just sets me up to like use 1, 2, 3 different cantrips in the next turn cycle to look for counter magic or an answer to a Merit Lodge. So like we'll get Brainstorm off Arcanist to start. Ah, rude. It's fine because we have more cantrips. But it's still rude. Eh. Yes? Feels like yes. I'll get to clock for 2 a turn. Eventually I discard. Like, they don't have a mana up to Abrupt Decay this right now, unless they also have Elvish Spirit Guide. So, like, this is an opportunity to stick the Blood Moon, whereas I might not get another opportunity to for the rest of this game. It kind of sucks if they have a crop rotation. How many basics do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4 basics, not counting the mountain. I don't know if this Blood Moon is too risky or not. This is really tough. Like, I get to play around Decay this turn, but not crop rotation. But then, like, next turn, they're going to have Decay mana up, presumably for most of the rest of the game. YOLO. Show me crop rot. If I get Spirit Guide plus Decay for this, I'm also pretty happy with that. Basic Forest. F. Sure. That just probably goes on Oko. That's what would make sense to me. I am a skilled wizard. Now we just like find some lightning bolts and close out this game. Basic Swamp is the scariest thing that my opponent can get at this point. Because that means that, like, Spirit Guide plus that. Man, I'm so good at Magic. Okay. So we'll put that on top. We'll pay 4 life for the other one. Alright. I think we stole that match, if I'm being honest. I don't know that we were actually favored there. My opponent kind of kept a little bit of a clunker, or at least it appeared so from my side of the table, with like turn 2 Sajiri Step being their best play, and then like not having a good turn 3 play either. But we take those. So, like, this is why I tanked so long on the Blood Moon play, because like when it goes right, it goes like that. But when my opponent has crop rotation, and they like crop rotation for a basic forest or basic swamp, like it remains a real game afterwards. Where unless I have God draws off the top of my library like that, like things are a little bit hard for me. I think this one's going back. We don't have the ability to cast any of our spells other than just suspending Crashing Footfalls. That doesn't seem like an okay place to be. I'm pretty sure that my opponent plays Loam, which will be very bad for us if they like not in game 1 because they'll probably like Chalice on 1, but like for post sideboard games, Chalice on 0 is going to be pretty hot. Mathematic and Ullers, thank you very much for following. I hope you're enjoying the content. I believe that I will be keeping this on 6. A little awkward because I simultaneously want these cantrips to help find lands and also don't want the cantrips to play around Chalice on 1 if my opponent is indeed playing Loam like I suspect they are. I am going to pitch, I think, a brainstorm. I'm very happy with the cards that I have in hand, like as far as like the matchup itself goes. So I think I'm just gonna play around like getting chaliced on one a little bit, while also like keeping my inevitability for the matchup. Feels like this has to be either Chalice, Bob, or Loam in order for this hand to be keepable. Let's see which one it is. An Ooze. Alright, that is not the card that you necessarily want to bank on. Alright, good stuff. Please don't let the last card be like Loam. I would like the last card to be something that I can counter. I think I'm going to be pitching Uro since my opponent has Scavenging Ooze in play and I don't have a way to answer it right now. Like, I have two things that are awkward against Scavenging Ooze based on current board. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Alright, I now think we're very favored to win this match. My opponent has no cards, I have 4 cards, and I have a great endgame plan. This Scavenging Ooze is, like, pretty good against my stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna use my mana efficiently here, rather than, like, try to ponder for Lightning Bolt. There aren't creatures in the graveyard yet, so I don't need to worry about this getting outside of Lightning Bolt range yet. Alright, my opponent has decided they are no longer the aggro deck. Alright, now I think I'm good with pondering. Suspend Crashing Footfalls, good enough. Suspend Crashing Footfalls this turn, have Hardcast Force of Negation next turn. This is fine, and I would 100% take this if not for the Scavenging Ooze. Like, is this good enough? I can also just, like, take Crashing Footfalls this turn and then shuffle these. I think I liked that, actually. My opponent gets to do a number on my graveyard and invalidate my Dreadhorde Arcanist for a little while. That's fine. Like, I have so much card advantage in this deck between, like, Ancestral, Crashing Footfalls, Klothys, my own Okos, like, all that sort of stuff, that I'm not, like, really worried about where I'm at as of right now. Also, once my Clothis is in play, I probably start to, like, tax my opponent's Scavenging Ooze enough where it's hard for them to do something relevant in a turn while also dealing with my stuff. Yeah, sure, that's fine. That does mean that the Scavenging Ooze can become a 3/3. But, like, we have two 4/4s incoming. Chalice on 0 is, like, really devastating at this point of the game. I will Brainstorm. This probably isn't a good Brainstorm, though. But I'm going to do it for mana efficiency and for if I hit Bolt. Yeah. So we will put back 2 lands. For mana efficiency, I'm going to play Clothis this turn. And then next turn I'll Ponder looking for an answer to Scooze. I can also like Ponder to set up a Shardless Agent or something like that next turn as well. That's devastating. That's very bad. Okay, well, that's good at least. I wish I had a draw step stop set. Because then in my draw step I could have bolted the Ooze and then actually gotten value out of my Clothis. I'm target a land here. I don't think my opponent... Oh, wow, my opponent does let me have that land. Very interesting. I will take a red mana. I guess I'm lightning bolting Ooze like 100% of the time. So let's start there. Now let's find something so we don't die to Oko. Dreadhorde Arcanus this turn into Bloodbraid Elf next turn. Sounds sweet. I'll not shuffle my library. We'll play this out. We have the Rhinos looming. As long as we make it to Rhinos, we're okay. If our opponent wastelands us, I just use Clothis for mana, and that's okay. Clothis requires 7 devotion, so we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll need 2 more devotion. I don't think I'd call Clothis close to attacking. Like, this takes 7. Yeah, that's annoying, but okay. Yeah, opponent's top decks are quite good here. Do agree with that. I have my own Sylvan library, huh? Okay. So my opponent has a lot of life here for their Sylvan library. I have 8 incoming power next turn, plus Clothis, plus Bloodbraid. Um, Also, Sylvan library on my own side of the field is a thing as well, although my Sylvan library is probably filtering. Alright. You have a 5/5 Knight of the Reliquary. That is admittedly very good on this board. I get to turn it into a 4/4 Knight of the Reliquary. Use Clothis for mana, and go Bloodbraid into Tarmogoyf while also clearing this forest so that I don't have to redraw it next turn. Seems good. Let's go. Put on top. Put on top. Clothis. I guess we'll get rid of a Bojuka Bog. Green. Whoa, whoa! Clothis is a creature now. Where am I sending all of these? Just at face. Like, Knight of the Reliquary getting Tabernacle is one of the scarier things that can happen to me, so I kind of just want to send these all at face so I can pay for a handful of creatures that end up going to the graveyard. Like, the attack on Oko isn't super amazing, right? So, like, if I attack Oko with all 3 of these, it's just like block, block, let Clothis get through, and my opponent has essentially answered 3 of my creatures without me impacting their life total at all. Whereas this way ends up with a similar situation, but I'm more likely to kill in an Alpha Strike next turn. And my opponent like probably doesn't get to fetch again this game because like one Tarmogoyf hit represents lethal. It's a weird spot for sure. Essentially, by making that attack, I'm saying I think this game ends on the next turn. So let me just confirm this is any non-land, right? Yes. RIP Sylvan Library. Knight of the Reliquary, potentially, but not necessarily, represents Maze of Ith for Tarmogoyf. Okay, it's fine. I will not be using Sylvan Library. So do I want to shrink Knight of the Reliquary down? That's the current question. So Knight can potentially be a 6 off of a fetch land. I can shrink it down to 3 and then put it up to 5 again. Like, the question is, like, am I attacking this turn? I potentially kill Leovold if I attack this turn. I'll lose a Rhino for attacking. And then, like, what else? Or I could lose Tarmogoyf, but probably a Rhino. I think this is going for damage. Rather than shrinking the Knight. Like, now the question is, like, do I want to kill Oko this turn? Like, what happens with this Knight of the Reliquary is essential to whether or not I win the game on this turn. See what they have. Oh yeah, I will never say no to my content being promoted. Well, maybe not never, but like, you know. Yeah, I'm not dead to the backswing because of my own food. I don't know whether or not my opponent is going to have access to Maze of Ith. Based on these blocks, it seems like they do. Yep. That's okay. So my opponent probably needs to, like, Oko make food and use their mana this turn to eat food so that they don't die. And that, like, continues to be the pattern for future games, future turns. Are they still dead? Does not really appear to me like they are still dead. Like, I take a hit for 5 here that I can't block, and then they maze their own creature. Like, I need a live card off the top of my deck or I'm being pushed onto the defensive. Like, I attack, neither reliquary blocks. I can force my opponent to get rid of Leovold this turn. But the cost to do so is pretty darn high. All I need is a lightning bolt, and my opponent is going to be dead with like basically no recourse, but I don't get to cast any manipulation spells and my Sylvan Library doesn't work. So like I can attack in and force my opponent to lose the Leovold to make my Sylvan Library live for next turn. But then I leave myself pretty dead. Yeah, if my opponent has Dryad Arbor, that is an issue. If my opponent does have Arbor, I die to it. Alright, I'll just pass the turn. I don't know if my opponent has Arbor. They usually do, but not always. So good right now. So good right now. Just -5, so my opponent can swap Mox for Rhino, and that's pretty bad for me as well. Daddy needs a lightning bolt. Alright, they didn't take that line. Oh, right, it's not CMC, it's power. Okay, so no attacks this turn. They're playing a little more conservatively now. That's a quite bad draw. Yeah, like it's going to pitch to Force of Will. Yeah, he can minus on the Tarmogoyf. I am in serious trouble. Oko's dumb. We all know that. Goyf is an elk. So I still stand by my decision not to kill Oko earlier this game when I had the opportunity to. It just like happens that like Leovold was a very damning draw against the Sylvan Library and a lot of my other future cards, and made the math very very bad for me. Like I'm good with that decision at the time. It's not working out for me, but that's okay. I will basically force of will anything that I get the opportunity to force of will. I just like need to trade these for functional cards. And now the lightning bolt isn't necessarily representing lethal if my opponent continues to make food. Green Sun for X equals 0, that just gets a Dryad Arbor. Just another blocker slash a source of mana acceleration that's not really worth countering. But like it's another thing for Knight to send away. It makes my Bloodbraid lines considerably worse if I don't Force of Will this. Waterfalls is the name of this deck, which is also known as 4-color Cascade. The idea of Waterfalls is that like you cast a Bloodbraid into a Shardless and the spells just keep cascading like a Waterfall does. Bill, have you considered playing Enchantress again? Whenever someone bribes me to play Enchantress, I play Enchantress. So this Lightning Bolt is late now, right? So like I cast it, my opponent goes to 1. I'm not presenting lethal here. Next turn, my opponent can go to 7. I bolt them. How can I still kill Oko? I can kill the Leovold, which I will probably end up doing on my opponent's next turn. Then I get the Sylvan Library back. The Sylvan Library hopefully gets me to something that actually defeats my opponent. The really unfortunate thing here is that like my opponent's Knight of the Reliquary is getting close to the size where they can just kill me in one hit that actually gets through. I would love it if my opponent tapped their Knight of the Reliquary to get Caracas and allowed me to swing in for points of damage. That sounds great. I just like can't let them know that I have this lightning bolt until I have to, because like if they at any point minus the Oko, I just get to kill them with lightning bolt plus activate Colossus. At this point, we're most likely to win this set via timeout. This is game 1, and my opponent is down to about the 8-minute mark. Okay, abrupt decay on the Tarmogoyf is fine. Yep, I am taking 8 here. so now I bolt Leovold, make Sylvan Library live. My opponent can still eat food, so they're effectively at 7. So this does not represent a kill in any way right now. Like this goes to face, puts them to 1, and then they go to... Or does it? Because I have to tap the Knight of the Reliquary to eat the food so that they don't die? Okay, hold on. So, if I just bolt their face, they tap the Knight of the Reliquary to get a land to fuel it. It puts them to 7, down to 4, and I only get 3 damage through. No, so I want to hit the Leovold. Yeah. Put on top. Put on top. Do this. Eat their Leovold. They will go to 2. Play out another creature. Opponent's playing well enough and this game is close enough that like I don't think I want to play towards them messing up. I think I just want to be playing like reasonable Magic. Oh yeah, Klothys has been doing great. Now my opponent probably needs to either Elk or take my Arcanist this turn, otherwise it represents a Lightning Bolt to their face. Yes. That's fine. So now this kills me if I don't block it, so I have to block it. The question is, like, which one of these cards do I block it with? The Maze of Ith means that, like, my Rhino isn't actually getting an attack. I think I'm blocking with the Rhino and then attacking with Dreadhorde Arcanist to get 2 more Rhinos. And I believe I'm going to fetch away the 2 lands on top of my library as well. This has been a really interesting game. Like, Oko, obviously, like, single-handedly taking it over is pretty annoying. Okay, that's a good line. Now I'd, like, definitely need to do this. Opponent's dead. Opponent is very dead. I even have, like, insurance. Oh, no, Chalice! Chalice is very good. Okay, sorry. No, I pay 4. I turn the Chalice into an Elk and then Lightning Bolt them. I got it. Let's put this on top. Pay for life with this. Plot this. Drain you for 2. 1, 2, 3. Oko. Turn Chalice into an elk. Bolt you. What a crazy game. Yeah, that one was nuts. I think my opponent played that very well. Got a little bit lucky that last turn to win this game. I think we were winning the game basically no matter what, though, just due to, like, we're winning the match no matter what due to time. Like, with 5 minutes left on the clock, my opponent is, like, probably not going to get to murder me. So, how do I want to sideboard? No, I mean, we spent like the last half an hour going back and forth playing a really intricate game. I would not be salty if I was on the losing side of that. Absolutely not. Like, my opponent extended the GG there. Like, they recognize that. That game was great. So, I want this for Knight. I want this for their Sylvan Library or Moxen, or just to, like, do some chip damage to them over time. I think Bojuka Bog was used very early on in the game. Dawson. I don't know how to sideboard here. I don't think I'm going to try to cheese a win with Blood Moon when I'm on the draw. I think I want this as well. My opponent has access to Bojuka Bog. And potentially Caracas as well. I think my Uro loses some stock. I think I'm going to trim a Goyf. And then, like, maybe I trim Force of Wills after that, or trim some 1-drops. I don't exactly know. I don't have reps in with Waterfalls versus 4-color loam featuring Oko. Yeah, I brought in 3 answers to Chalice. Hand's great. I get 3 basic lands, which allow me to cast some number of these 4 spells in an order that's good for me. My opponent doesn't play a creature here. I'll consider bolting their face and just playing Dreadhorde Arcanist to, like, bolt again. But I kind of feel like my opponent needs to play something like Bob or Chalice here. Or Thalia. Thalia's pretty good. I'll bolt Thalia on my own turn. Nice. I don't want to get got by a Caracas or anything. Actually, no, I won't bolt Thalia on my own turn. I'll wait, because then they can't, like, tap out for an Oko. If they eat up a lot of their clock, like protecting a Thalia via Caracas, I'm good with that. I'll even take the 2 damage here. A scavenging ooze. Yeah, that's fine. And now I just need to think about, like, order. I think I bolt Thalia this turn, and then I'll bolt ooze afterwards. Like, I'm fine with giving my opponent the one life. I just want to have more flexibility for my own turn. It's also a world where I just, like, slam Oko here. Or, like, Shardless Agent or something. Like, gum up the board a little bit more and then, like, deploy my cards that actually matter. I don't hate that. Librarian Bolt is fine. It just gets, like, really awkward if my opponent plays Leovold, though, right? Yeah, that's fine. A Cindervines. Cool. So this seems like easy Lightning Bolt the Ooze in the main phase. And then it's a question of, like, do I want them to bounce their own Thalia, or do I want to just suspend Ancestral Visions? Shouldn't think about this for too long. I want to suspend. Oh, I guess, like, Dreadhorde Arcanus can still safely attack as well. I guess both of these things can safely attack if I'm willing to eat my own Lightning Bolt that's in my graveyard. I don't think I'm willing to do that yet. Can I just choose to not exile? Alright, yeah, it's a May. This is... Alright, so I did this in the wrong order. Now my opponent can just eat this for free, and I sneak in 1 damage. I forgot I tapped the mana here. That was just bad. I'm playing quickly. So, like, one of the only ways I lose this match is my opponent, like, pulling ahead of me on time, and I time out before they do. So, like, my bad there. That was obviously quite bad. Alright, opponent's Chalice is pretty good here in the short term. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm just going to pass the turn here. Oh yeah, I could just play out Cindervines instead. Yeah, I guess that's true. And just like treat that as slow damage over time. All right, my opponent has given me the GG. All right, I have a secret for you all. I've had to pee for like the last 10 minutes. I will be right back. I'll run an ad real quick. All right. What a crazy match. Well played by Freyot there, especially in game one. If memory serves, they were on like a mold of 5 or something like that. And like, admittedly, their top decks in the mid game were like fire, 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 just like straight runners. But like they played in a way that allowed them to play towards those lines and take advantage of the resources that they did have. So like, really do want to compliment the opponent there for what they have done. All right, see what you have going on over there, Johan. This looks like a mulligan. I don't get to cast my spells. Hey, Phil. Good luck. Yeah. I'm in. Keep. Bottom. Done. We lead on a volcanic since we have 2 of those. Hope you all are having a good day. What is today? Thursday? I don't understand time anymore. It is indeed Thursday. Alright, we're playing against humans. A meddling mage is going to be very good on Ancestral Visions, like, devastatingly good. Okay, never mind, we get to answer that now. The Meddling Mage and Sanctum Prelate are going to be the 2 cards that I need to worry about as far as this matchup goes. Things like Kitesail Freebooters will be annoying against some hands. Sure. Which do I care about more? I'm gonna bolt one of these. Like, this and this both grow, right? This is going to be a 2-2 as of right now. And this is going to be a 2-2 as of right now. So it's not, like, super relevant which one I bolt, I guess. I guess if my opponent has a blink effect, it's, like, significantly better for me to bolt the Thalia's Lieutenant. The reason I didn't bolt in response to the Vial activation is that, like, my opponent could have had Mother of Runes instead, and that, like, changes whether or not I want to bolt that or, like, a Mom. See what happens. A Dreadhorde Arcanist. That seems great. Very happy with that draw. Again, Sanctum Prelate and Meddling Mage are the things that I care about right now. So like one of those hitting Lightning Bolt and then the other hitting Ancestral Visions is like a very easy path for me to take a loss. Not blocking here. Absolutely not. Like, opponent is like 99% have a human that they can put in, and I don't want to trade like this for just a little bit of damage. Well, opponent could have very few things that I care about. I don't think I need to. Well, if I Shardless Agent first, there's some worlds where I hit a removal spell, and then like I can remove Tomic and Champion of the Parish in this turn cycle. So maybe actually let's do that. It's like, I'm gonna do it anyway. Alright, champion can grow out of lightning bolt range as of my opponent playing one more human. If I want to hit in for 3 damage this turn, I just attack Bolt Tomic, keep Arcanist alive, so that I can, like, cast these. And then I don't care if they have a 4/4. If I can just, like, have infinite value. I don't think I want to lose the Arcanist this turn to... Oh no, Tomic doesn't even kill me. Tomic's a 2/3. What am I thinking? Yeah, alright, we just killed Champion of the Parish on the attack. Notably, I did shrink my Tarmogoyf down quite a bit. Now a 1/2. There's only creatures in the graveyard. The opponent needs Meddling Mage or Sanctum Prelate this turn very badly. Otherwise, I get to draw 6 cards on my turn. Actually, 7. I get 1 for my draw step as well. And then I just don't think they get to beat a draw 7. I think, you know, once the Grizzlebrand is in play, so to speak, and it's drawn 7, like most games are usually over. Free refills. It's like at the movie, but better, because you win ticks while doing it. Okay, if they have a land, they get Sanctum Prelate. Otherwise, they just get Meddling Mage here. And that's pretty good. I'll have another chance next turn as well. I don't know why this is taking so long. Maybe my opponent... No, my opponent has to be playing Meddling Mage, right? Like, that card's so good. Okay, yeah, there it is. How's it going? Well, like, it's sort of a good news, bad news situation where, like, I was about to draw 7 cards, and then my opponent stopped me from drawing 7 cards, but we'll try to draw 7 cards again next turn, so, like... I think that ends up being good. Cast. What? Opponent, no! Why did you pick Lightning Bolt? Johan, my friend, when you watch this replay, just know that Ancestral Vision was probably the better choice. Oh. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. I don't think I need Sylvan Library to win this game. I think I'll take a Crashing Footfalls and just, like, suspend it. In case, like, the game drags on. So this is a 2/3. So, like, the question is now, like, how many creatures do I attack with? So, like, obviously I'm going to attack with the Arcanist and take a bunch of damage, or do a bunch of damage via card draw. Then the question is, like, what am I doing after that? I probably attack with the Tarmogoyf. Force of Will is not the best, considering that I don't have a blue card. Okay. So, I don't think my opponent knew about, like, the Dreadhorde Arcanist interaction. And the 0 casting cost spells. That is my read on the situation. That new elf is really strong. Really, really strong. So the good news for my opponent is that my first turn of draw 7 was not good. The bad news for my opponent is that I have another turn of draw 7 coming. Sanctum Prelate for 0 is real hot. Okay. That's admittedly pretty good. I think we'll start this one off with a brainstorm. At this point, I'm just like looking for something like Oko. Turn this into an elk, lightning bolt this, get another lightning bolt, go from there. That was not good. That was very, very, very much not good. Like, now do I ponder and pitch this Force of Will? Or, like, and not be able to hardcast this Force of Will, or, like, pitch cast? That was, like, very devastating. Well, that's not great. That's, like, really not great. So we drew 7 cards this turn. 4 turns this card, looked at 4 more turns with Ponder, and just like straight whiffed off of all of it. Am I the aggro deck now? Hit my opponent for 8, bring them to 9. Take 2, 4, 5, 6 on the backswing. Then 3 in the air the following turn if I have to go defensively. No, that's too much damage. I think I'm just attacking with Tarmogoyf. I've already played a land. So we're looking for like Oko, Clothis, Bloodbraid, or like maybe another Arcanist. No, the Crashing Footfalls isn't in the graveyard yet. So Shardless, Bloodbraid, Oko, Clothis are the sorts of things that I'm looking for. Oddly enough, again, if my Tarmogoyf was the one of Brazen Borrower that I couldn't afford, I'm in a better position. Ooh, that's bad. And I can't force a will that because I drew infinite lands. Yep. I was gonna say Kudrow would be pretty bad here. I'm probably just dead now because like my draws were very, very poor. Uh, like how am I winning? Me winning probably involves like Oko. So meddling mage with a +1/+1 counter is now like bad, right? Because I turn it into an elk. It's a 4/4, and I have to like nah. So like I oak a elk meddling mage, and then I probably have to like kill Dranith Magistrate, or sorry, General Kudrow to shrink everything else. So it's weird. Okay, so I'm taking 5 in the air as of next turn. So if I chump block or double block an Imperial Recruiter, I'm not dead immediately, only to Tomic next turn. Right on time. Right on time. Yeah. Like we're done. I think opponent punted real hard by not keeping me off of Ancestral, but like because we drew 2 lightning bolts, 5 lands, 2 forces, one of which I couldn't cast at the appropriate time to stop a very threatening thing. We lose that one. That's okay. Yeah, that would have been great. And that would have been great. And that would have cascaded into... Oh, no, I can't look. Oh, no. That would have cascaded into Shardless Agent, which would have cascaded into Brainstorm. It was a strong set of cards on my end. Okay. So I can just use this as a way to nuke Ether Vial. So, like, how deep do I want to go on hurting Ether Vial? I can go 4 cards deep. I'm 100% bringing in a Braid. And, like, then these are the cards to be thinking about beyond that. I can also think about Blood Moon. Just like, if I neuter Ether Vial, then a Blood Moon is kind of like GG. So what don't I want? I do not want Force of Negation. I also don't really want Force of Will. Like, I just want cards that I can play that impact the board. I think. So I think just going no counter spells and planning on, like, outvaluing my opponent via the board is probably better than keeping some Force of Wills around. Like, the Force of Wills are fine once I'm drawing a billion cards in one turn, but they're not super impressive. Like, maybe I need to stop Meddling Mage or Sanctum Prelate when I can, but, like, there's going to be so many Cavern of Souls or Ether Vial situations where I don't actually get to stop those. We get 5 answers to Ether Vial, 1 answer to their mana base, and a Braid serves as another removal spell with a different name than Lightning Bolt. Yeah, generally speaking, I think we're fine. Like, I think our strategy is, like, totally reasonable against humans. I just think we, like, got up to bat, squared off, and then just, like, totally struck out. This is Forest, Island, plus Red Land for Blood Moon. Yeah, we'll keep this. We'll play Volcanic Island on 1. And, like, we probably fetch Island on turn 2. This hand is very good. My opponent gets to, like, muck with me a little bit if they are on an Ether Vial start. But, like, if they go turn 1, Dork, and I just bolt it and then play Arcanist, it's, like, very hard for my opponent to come back from that. I also don't really care if they Wasteland me. Like, it's slightly awkward. But I probably end out ahead for doing that. Okay, they did have the Vial. That's fine. We keep drawing lands like last game. Anything can happen. So, like, the goal is, like, keep their board in check via Arcanist and Bolt, and then, like, Answer Vial and Blood Moon them in some order. We might not be slamming the Blood Moon next turn. Like especially if our opponent like plays out two creatures for some reason in this turn cycle. Like champion into some other card be great like setup for me because then we'll just go like bolt and like not play the Blood Moon in this turn cycle. The Meddling Mage on bolt sucks here. Yep, okay. Cool. I mean that's a great turn next turn. So now my opponent doesn't get to cast any spells for the rest of the game unless they put something in off an Ether Vial that can answer my Blood Moon. So like my opponent has invalidated one of my cards, but like as soon as I get like one cantrip or something like that, I think I start going ham. Who did they draw their Imperial Recruiter? Nice. So this could get a Deputy of Detention to allow them to remove the moon. It's unclear whether or not they're going to want to tick the vial up to 3. Cinder Vines would be pretty sick this turn, or a Braid or Null Rod. Reaple Cheap, during the summer, my normal stream times tend to just fall apart. Like, I very rarely follow my set schedule during the summer. Oh, just Recruiter for Recruiter. That's actually very good against my next turn. Like, during the summer, it just makes more sense for me to hang out with my girlfriend at night. This is a 2/2. So this is a free block for me. So I tend to stream more during the day. That's a pretty big brick. I have so many incredibly impactful non-creature spells that I think I wait a turn to play Bloodbraid and play the Klothys here. So, like, for example, if I Bloodbraid... Klothys isn't getting to gain life as of right now, which is very awkward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's some lines involving the Bloodbraid Elf Cascade where we do get to turn on Klothys as a blocker as of next turn, which is kind of big game. I think I need to play towards that. Ron says, gotta read this. Yeah, that's fair. So we knew on this starting hand that if my opponent had Ether Vial, they were very favored, and like we're definitely seeing that here. So like on their next turn, they just Imperial Recruiter for a 3-drop. I'm not in good shape. We'll see. Like, if I turn on Clothis and I get a very large blocker, that will buy me a considerable amount of time. But, like, I'm very much at the whims of, like, the top of my deck in terms of Bloodbraid Elf's Cascade ability. Okay. Sure. This is more awkward than it initially seems. So, like, notice that opponent is leaving Caracas up. They might not realize this, but, like, I'm closer to activating Clothis than it looks like. And if that Caracas stays up, then, like, Clothis as a blocker is off. Removing one devotion this turn is certainly bad for me. My opponent may be confused because unnamed territory does not have a creature type. Yep. They just figured that out and typed that in chat right after I said it. Why do you need triple white though? Yeah, you could have tapped unnamed territory for a colorless instead. This seems like an attack with all situation, like get me dead. I don't know, maybe not. So like, that's just free for me. Don't know how I'm getting out of this. Like, I get an extra mana this turn, but like, Bloodbraid has to do serious, serious work. Well, I guess I should play this land, right? I have volley attacks to be thinking about. Go yeah, 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 and see what happens. Ponder that I have to pay 1 for is probably not ideal. Yeah, all that stuff's too slow at this point. And I'm going to be dead, either immediately or in another turn or two. Like, these alone attacking from 9 means a lot of this other stuff can crash in for free. Alright. GG's. I think we got very unlucky game 1. And then just, like, kept a hand that was going to have trouble with Vile in game 2. And, like, my opponent had the Vile start. That's okay. Not even mad. Like, we're still 2-1. We ordered in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 answers to Vile. Plus the 2 Okos. This is a reasonable but awkward hand. So, like, we don't have... Good luck. We don't have something to pitch to Force of Negation right now, but we have 3 very powerful turn 2 plays in the lands to get there, and we're probably playing against Death and Taxes. So, like, as a whole, I'm happy with where we're at. Now I have to fetch non-basics. Aiga? Could still just be Trop. So this sort of deck is going to be very good against Death and Taxes, assuming I actually get to, like, cast my spells. We probably win this game handily. But, you know, that is an assumption. Alright, so now the question is, like, do I get more basics or do I continue to get non-basics? I think I continue to get non-basics. Because, like, the first Wasteland is already pretty bad for me. Did we make the mana? Alright, we made the mana. My opponent has a pretty good start against us. Like, Mom into Thalia means, like, I don't get to just easily remove the Thalia, and this tax stays around all game. Sure. Just flicker the Wasteland, then take out one of my lands. We're hoping they take out Tropical Island. That your stops right, friend. Alright, they didn't take out Tropical Island. So this was the reason to fetch Mountain next turn so we could play the other Dreadhorde Arcanist. Now we don't have mana for Sylvan Library, but we do have something to pitch to Force of Negation if our opponent has a Swords of Plowshares or a Vial or something. Yep, so we're just gonna not cast spells this game and die. Good stuff. Yep. Like, I can attack with this Arcanist now and make 2 more Rhinos and then lose the Arcanist and give my opponent 4 life. That all seems fine. Alright, so we have 16 power. My opponent has a Batterskull. My opponent has 1 more land. This becomes much more awkward for me because, like, they're going to get lines of, like, block with Batterskull to negate a Rhino attack and then reset it so they can take out another Rhino. I probably lose the game if they get to 5 mana. So I can attack for 16 and put them to 8, which realistically is going to be 16 plus this dead, plus one of these dead. Alright, so they're gonna crash in for 7 and try to leave me dead next turn if I alpha. My lightning bolt is now live, which is definitely relevant, but probably not enough. That's brutal. Charming Prince, Blink, Flicker Wisp, Flicker out a Rhino. Opponent's draw was very good. My deck is dying to itself way more frequently than I imagined it would. So the issue with this fetch land is if I fetch, I'm just dead on board to the Batterskull plus protection. So I think I can... No, losing a Rhino means like I just have no possibility of racing them at all. I think I can probably stay alive for 1 turn, but like I'm just not overcoming what my opponent has here. Like I can fetch Lightning Bolt, Mom, get attacked down to 2 by Flicker Wisp, or get attacked down to 1 if my opponent alphas. Yeah. I think I'm just going to throw in the towel here, rather than, like, show my opponent some more cards. Alright, we're going to board similarly to how we did last time. So we'll go with these 5 cards in. Force of Negations can go out. My opponent showed me Crusader, so Tarmogoyf isn't necessarily amazing. My opponent may be bringing in Rest in Peace, so I might want to trim some of this stuff, and I also might want to trim some more counter spells. Oh, Crusader was the last match at the end. My bad. Still, like, for Rest in Peace reasons, because, like, we showed them this, I should probably trim a card that deals with the graveyard. So, like, I guess this is bad against Caracas. So let's trim that and another Force of Will and call this good. I'm starting to wonder if this deck just, like, has too many lands. I don't know. Like, my draws aren't very smooth. Yeah. I will keep this. It's going to be kind of similar to last match where our mana is, like, actually going to be awkward. So the Scalding Tarn means that I can play triple basics for the first 3 turns of the game, and I would be okay with drawing a Preordain, not thrilled with it. But like Scalding Tarn, so I don't have to play Taiga on 2, and I can like 100% curve out Shardless into Bloodbraid, seems good. I think I'm going to go ahead and keep these. Sure. Alright, that's a bit of a nuisance. But we can probably outvalue that. Like if I Shardless into Lightning Bolt, I get to take down one of these two creatures. Nice. So which creature do I want dead? Probably Mom. So I point this first one at Stoneforge so my opponent protects Stoneforge. And then I kill Mom. Like, they can still save whichever one they want, but this incentivizes it to work the way that I want it to. The interesting thing here is that my opponent can choose to let Stoneforge die, and then their Mom lives. But then they like don't have an easy path forward towards victory because like I've taken the Batterskull away from them, so I'm still good with this. And this leaves the Lightning Bolt in the graveyard for later as well, if they accept it. Okay, yeah, so they're gonna protect the Stoneforge. That's fine. I'm 100% like not pondering for free in that turn cycle, right? Like that's just like not realistically happening. Because like if I target the Mom will just protect itself. And they let me kill the Stoneforge instead. I don't really understand why they are doing that at that timing. This is an interesting turn in that I can dig for another Lightning Bolt or a Braid to answer Mom. I have a lot of things that I might want to dig for, including Cindervines. So it might make sense to not Bloodbraid this turn and Brainstorm instead. This also may set up a very potent Bloodbraid for next turn, but I think I'm likely to fetch and like aggressively dig for something that takes care of Mom. We'll see. Oko. That's interesting. So I could put that on top of my library and cascade into it next turn. And get... Then I have to like keep all of this land, which I don't really want. I can just play Oko and Elk their Mom this turn and then like go from there. I think that's actually the plan. I have 2 islands, I do. I kind of need something fat like Tarmogoyf to hold down the board now. But like we'll work that out. I'm gonna get Blood Braid even through being ported this turn. So like we'll be yeah, great. We'll be able to do something meaningful. Council's Judgment here is pretty rough. Removing the Oko, and then like my opponent just attacked me for 7. I also rather desperately need a refill on water. But we'll deal with that after this game or match, depending on how it goes. How do you have so many basics? Don't I have more? Yeah, I have 5 basics. Alright, so I assume these are attacking Oko. Yeah, so I need to chump here. Keep this alive. And I need to hit something good with the Blood Braid in this turn cycle. This one's probably slipped away. Do I have another forest or mountain? Another forest. That's unfortunate. So I can preordain and try to set up something really cool with Bloodbraid Elf here by putting 2 cards on top. That's maybe the way that I get into this. Like, for example, hitting a Braid or something so that I can just take out the Batterskull. Seems like it's worth my time. Alright, so I need red, green, and 2. It doesn't matter what I get. Let's preordain. Cloth, this is not good. Not anywhere near the correct number of devotion, so that's not going to get turned on. And Brainstorm isn't a good hit either. Because, like, I want to do something. Well, I could put Brainstorm on top. Like, this is fine for next turn. And now we spin the wheels here. We really need something good. Cindervines. If I had played this turn in the opposite order, that would have been amazing. Like, where if I didn't cast the preordain so that I had the 1 mana to work with this. That sucks. Like, I could turn the Batterskull into an elk. I guess that's what I'm doing. Then we try to use Cindervines on everything else. Oh, yeah, I guess that's true. We elk Batterskull, opponent can't bounce it in response or anything like that. We downgrade a threat. Like, definitely scared. Protection from red and blue is good. Alright, Medea Magica is being attacked by Stoneforge Mystic, and these other things are attacking me. Is it time To trade. Probably time to trade. Like, take this off the table so that Flicker Wisp doesn't get the ability to reset it. And Cindervines this and hope I can get the rest of the board under control via the second Oko or something. That's okay. You would like me to Elk the Germ. That actually just makes my opponent's cards better, though. So, like, the Germ is a 0/0. If I Elk the Germ, they're going to end up with a 7/7 instead. Does not seem like the optimal play. So I'm going to get a Braid, I guess, like, Mother of Runes, and Cindervines this. I can still Brainstorm this turn. I don't know if I want to, because, like, I have a very good plan. Outside of something that's not normally played, like Restoration Angel, I can just wait. I think I will wait. See if my opponent does anything cool. Well, I'm very glad that we Flicker Wisped the Batterskull. I can still get an Umezawa's Jitte. Is this worth brainstorming? My Oko is not great now. I think it's worth brainstorming to see if I can set up like a Cascade card for my next turn. Ugh. I'm dead. Not immediately, but effectively. So now my opponent probably ports me off of green here. Yep. So that I don't get to Oko. My Dreadhorde Arcanist isn't actually going to flashback something next turn if my opponent plays well. I can also just potentially be dead to Flicker Wisp in the air in the next turn cycle. My opponent didn't miss a point of damage, which is very relevant here. So now I'm at 5. That means Flicker Wisp plus 1 Jitte counter is lethal. Yeah. That doesn't do anything at this stage of the game. I can Oko make a food that I can't eat. I can Oko turn Jitte into a 3/3, which is also just going to kill me. If I try to do anything involving an attack, my opponent just removes 1 counter here, and I'm still dead. Yeah. Yeah, sure. D&T beats Oko decks. Sure. Yeah, that's how it works. No, my opponent had two very strong starts in a row that involved Mother of Runes, so that my initial lightning bolts didn't get to remove their creatures. And this deck is also feeling a little bit clunky. Like, I kind of wonder if, like, Guardless plus Bloodblade plus Uro plus Oko plus Clothis is just too much top end, and I don't actually have enough spells. Like, I feel like I need more removal spells in this deck to, like, help fight the board fights better. Like, when I played this deck previously, I did significant testing of like a D&T versus Waterfalls matchup before some GP because like one of the players I was going with was playing Waterfalls, and I just got like utterly wrecked almost every single time. But like we've lost to fair vile based creature decks two times in a row. So like there's not anything like a sweeper in the sideboard because like normally you bully those decks so hard, but that like just has not been the case these last two rounds. All right, I need water before we go into the next round. Oh, and to bank off a comment from earlier in this match, somebody said that they enjoyed like my FTL and Spelunky video or something like that. I put up a series of 4 videos showcasing some of the games that are in the most recent Humble Bundle. The most recent Humble Bundle supports racial justice and specifically the organizations the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, Race Forward, and the Bail Project. So I showcased some of the games that were in the bundle in case you were kind of curious about what was in there and you were considering buying it. Yes. So like there's a real question of like which one of these am I supposed to lead on first? Not knowing what my opponent is playing. I feel like it's the threat, but it's close because like if I fetch Ancestral instead, or sorry, if I play Ancestral instead, I can just fetch Basic Island. Okay, why would you cast Chalice on one when I just suspended Crashing Footfalls? Do you have a second Chalice? Because otherwise that seems very bad to me. Yeah, GG Setriverse, you played that well. What do you think about the matchup more generally? Like, who do you think wins that most of the time? I was just discussing that with chat. Curious to hear your thoughts. Yeah, this is gonna be dumb. I'm just gonna get like Rhinos into more Rhinos because my opponent didn't play Chalice on 0. Pretty even IMO. So when I did testing previously, and like keep in mind this was like 2 years ago, I found that the Waterfalls deck was just burying D&T most of the time. So this is weird, right? So like they went human and then passed. Amoric, that is correct. I think this is batch. At this point, we'll go for non-basics. Go Uro. I like legit am not sure what my opponent is playing if they kept a hand that didn't have a turn 2 play. That looks like this. Nice. Draw. So my guess is it's white Eldrazi. And they like kept a hand with Chalice of the Void and oh, do you have Containment Priest? You have Containment Priest. That makes my Uro awkward. That also explains why they kept the hand. Like now they can get something like an Eldrazi Displacer and like actually do some stuff. But like Ancient Tomb in the face of Crashing Footfalls is kind of rough. I hope no one is playing the Daily Death and Taxes list from this week. It was so bad. Sure, you can have my Ancestral Visions. Am I fine with showing them that? Draw. Yeah, I'm fine with showing them that draw. So now that the Containment Priest is in play, I don't need to like put the Ponder into my graveyard to get Uro back. Or wait, hold on. Does Uro stop Containment Priest actually? And it wasn't cast. We are casting this. Nice. So I do want to cast this Ponder to just get it countered. Yeah, but didn't Containment Priest get like printed in one of the like new recent sets? So like modern players get to play with Containment Priest now. So at least that's something. M21, yeah. So it's interesting whether or not I actually block the Containment Priest here. It's a free attack from my opponent. But if they have a Walking Ballista, it's like pretty actively bad for me if I block. I think I am not going to block and play around Walking Ballista. No, I don't get to cast Uro if they Arcanist, right? I have 1, 2, 3, and that'll be 4. I can't count the Uro itself, and this is escape 5. Yeah, I'm gonna take the 2 there. Yes, I do have the footfalls coming off of Suspend. Athalia Heretic Cathar would be pretty annoying to make my Rhinos enter tapped. Sure. I liked the part where my opponent didn't cast Chalice on 0. Did you like that part? I liked that part. Alright, so I have 5 cards in graveyard, but one of them is the Uro itself. Now, do I play Taiga? Or do I bluff a card? I think I just hold Taiga, because if I put Uro into play next turn, I'm totally fine with, like, using it to make an extra land drop. Yeah, Eldrazi Displacer is very good against me, obviously. I have 2 more Rhinos coming as well. My opponent could Palace Jailer, which would potentially be awkward for both of us. My opponent's Ancient Tomb is also quite awkward for them at this point. Yep, it is indeed Palace Jailer. So, like, I can probably take back the Monarch next turn, depending on, like, what my opponent's willing to do. And, like, I have, like, Crashing Footfalls coming as well. Yeah, so I can Brainstorm, let Brainstorm get countered, play Uro, and then make decisions about my attacks. The Rhinos trample, which makes life super awkward for my opponent. They also might not realize that my Uro is going to come back. So, like, if I attack in with all Rhinos, they can block with Thought-Knots here, block with Thought-Knots here, block with Containment Priest and Palace Jailer, and that's the only way that I don't become the Monarch. Yeah, I think I'm gonna send in the boys and then figure out what to do from there. Like, we'll see what my opponent does with blocks. Like, I get 2 draws here. And I kill all of their creatures, like, they're still the Monarch, but, like, whatever. Bloodbraid for next turn is, like, also hilarious. Green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Uro. I guess I technically should have done this in a way that allowed me to play Brainstorm, but whatever. Allows me to just like cast a Lightning Bolt and put it in my graveyard, and I have like Rhinos coming and Bloodbraid coming. Like, good luck. I wonder if it was better for them to like just block enough to stay alive and play towards like Reality Smasher maybe killing me off the top. Another Palace Jailer? Okay, that would make sense. My 1-drops should be fodder, right? That's what makes sense. For Clothis and Tarmogoyf reasons. I believe so. There's worlds where I draw Oko, though. Let's not just fire it off yet. Two, three, four. Bloodbraid into Shardless Agent into Lightning Bolt. I'm gonna try to Lightning Bolt that Palace Jailer. We'll see how it works out. Almost the way that I want. Like, I don't want that card in my deck anymore. Oh wow, they're letting me become the Monarch. Yes, I will put a land onto the battlefield. So now I have Force of Will for any like spell that they don't play off of Cavern of Souls. And I have a billion power in play. Seems good. Alright, we will bring in answers to Chalice of the Void, in Cindervines and Braid. We will bring in Blood Moon. The mana base for that deck is pretty atrocious, so I can definitely get some free wins like this. I don't need Force of Negation. Force of Will is medium. I see myself cutting this, and then my life total may be under too much pressure for Sylvan Library. I can see potentially playing Oof over a Force of Will, because shutting off my opponent's artifact-based mana sources is probably good. But I don't think I'm going to do that when I'm on the draw. I'll think about it when I'm on the play. Is Library the thing you want to cascade into, though? Just like real talk? It's not, right? Like, you just want to cascade into something that impacts the board? Yeah, I was going to say, Thalia is real annoying here because I can't curve out. Oh yeah, Force is definitely meh, but like, imagine that we had a Force for that Thalia. Just like, the game is worlds different. Okay. I mean, that's happening. Let's see what equipment they have. I'm going to want Null Rod for Game 3, and Oof, now that I know they have Stoneforge. Just sort of Fire and Ice. Alright, how to play this. Not having the next land is incredibly awkward. And my opponent drawing an Ancient Tomb is also incredibly awkward. Is it that obvious? I don't think it's that obvious. So, like, if I bolt Vithalia and they have a Soul Land, they get to go Stoneforge, put in Stoneforge is protected, and I have a really hard time beating that. No, Sword is potentially online next turn. My opponent has probably 6 to 8 Soul Lands to make that happen. I think I'm going to need to cantrip into like either lands or something to answer the Sword of Fire and Ice, so I'm going to go this way. Sure, but Lutri's just kind of a bad card, right? Like, we're already going kind of deep with this whole suspend strategy, and I don't think we need to go any deeper. So, like, Lutri can do cute things, but a lot of times those things are win more, right? Like, there's going to be so many times where you have Lutri, and it's just like, man, I have this, like, very bad, awkward Snapcaster Mage rather than something that impacts the board. And if we look at these last couple of rounds, like, I really need to be impacting the board most of the time. I think I need to make my land drop this turn. Hopefully hit lands here. Technically, yes. That's very bad for me. I was hoping to resculpt away from some number of cantrips there, because like I just don't have time to cast them. So now opponent putting Sword of Fire and Ice on Thought-Knots here. Probably just like ends this game on the spot. Yep. We lost this one for being on the draw. So like, if we're on the play, we draw that Force of Will, so that we get to Force of Will the Thought-Knots here. Like we're golden. Yeah, this deck has not at all been consistent. So, like, I can Lightning Bolt Stoneforge Mystic this turn, assuming that I don't get Swords to Plowshared. But I need something like a Braid. None of that stuff does what I need it to. Can't double bolt this because of Pro Red. I get to Lightning Bolt this. I'm taking 8 on my turn, going to 1. Or 8 on their turn, going to 1. Let's make sure that we can Lightning Bolt this Stoneforge before I play anything else. Alright, so now I need to either ponder or brainstorm into something relevant. I can't fetch for the rest of this game, notably. I think we're looking for very specific cards, so we will ponder. Okay, a Braid is great. So I go Abrade the Sword in combat, block with Arcanist. So like I have to take the Abrade for next turn. I don't have the second red source that I need. We can play towards futures where like we maybe do something. The fact that I also can't force a will now is brutal. But like we're still alive if we abrade. And like I can potentially ponder looking for an actual land into abrade, into do something else, but like my opponent playing any one other card, I think means that I'm dead. Alright, so we will ponder looking for an actual land that I can play. None of that will do it. I'm dead to something as silly as Containment Priest or Source of Plowshares or Path to Exile here. Anything? Eldrazi Displacer even does it. Palace Jailer. Gut Shot. Yeah, Gut Shot would be fine. So I can Force of Will this and then, like, die. I'm just gonna concede instead. Alright. Better on the play. Now we know that our opponent has a full Stoneforge package. So, Oof and Null Rod come in accordingly. I think I'm gonna trim an Ancestral Vision. And then one Force of Will. We are indeed playing Waterfalls. Hello, hello. So my deck has kind of felt like a bad Dreadhorde Arcanist deck because so many times I'm wanting to suspend Ancestral or Crashing Footfalls on 1, and then when I play Arcanist on 2, I often don't have something to flash back on 3. That's been something that's been subtly awkward about this deck list. Yeah, we're having a pretty medium day. I again like very much feel like we should be favored against these Thalia style decks. But we dropped one there pretty handily. No, I do not think Faithless Looting should be in this deck. We can play real cantrips. So like the important part of playing a deck that is value oriented is that your cards are actually giving you value, right? And so like Faithless Looting is something that's negative on value. Nope, I don't get to keep this. I do get to keep this. This hand is extremely awkward, though. I guess I'm just keeping triple basic and suspending Crashing Footfalls on 1. But like this is exactly what I'm talking about. Like normally in a Delver deck, when Dreadhorde Arcanist attacks on turn 3, it's just devastating, and that's not going to be the case here. Sure, and I would agree with that claim. Faithless Looting maybe should see more play than it does, but like the blue cantrips are so good that like you want to be playing Faithless Looting when you're in these non-blue decks instead, right? And like, yeah, I'm not gonna go there. It's a long conversation. Let's play a Brainstorm. Try to find a removal spell for the Displacer. We did not. I've already played my land for this turn. That's awkward. I don't want second forest. We'll go put that back, put that back. I don't want to attack and just brainstorm this turn. So this is like exactly what I'm talking about, right? So like we have an Arcanist on board and we can't attack with it. But the Arcanist will be worth 8 power later, so like I guess it's going to be fine. Sure. So like awkwardly that's gonna get a batter skull. And like Displacer is very good against my board. So I need to find a lightning bolt pretty badly. Get a brick of a draw this turn. So I know there's another land on top. So I'll fetch away later. I don't want to brainstorm now. I'm okay with the Batterskull getting in play. Like the Batterskull trades once because of Collector Oof. This is my insurance. I'm ready to fight against it with my lovely insect. What? That wasteland's kind of awkward for me. I want to fetch. Sure, that's fine. I'm also not getting wastelanded, which is also fine. Just pay with the thing that can get wastelanded. Draws have been good. So there is a question of like, do I want to attack with both Arcanists this turn, let them both die, and then like get 2 Rhinos plus also Brainstorm, because hitting a Lightning Bolt is incredible, and shuffling away this island is also good. Okay, so this is a forest right now, although it could become an island. Yeah, I think I'm good with the attack here. Oh, did I click wrong? I clicked wrong. That's frustrating. Very frustrating when the game is this close as well. Also, it kind of seems like my opponent is playing their turn wrong, but so did I, so I can't complain. My opponent didn't kill my Dreadhorde Arcanist, so like it's not that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things. It sucks. Unquestionably, it sucks. Sucks more if my opponent draws another land to double activate. Yeah. Maybe this will end up okay. We'll find out. Okay. Put back. Land, land. Batch. Get land. You would like to return that to my hand. Right? That means a Rhino gets to attack in this turn. So you can displace one of these and trade Batterskull for one. I'm good with that. I don't think I want to brainstorm badly enough to throw Arcanist away. We're just like losing this game to never seeing a lightning bolt, which is really frustrating. The misclick obviously doesn't help, but okay. So we lose out on oof here. And like I'll probably lose Arcanist as well. We're 18 cards deep, plus 2 cantrips. Soon to be 3. I am very frustrated at how many lands we're drawing at critical junctures. I mean, I guess we take the Oko. It does things. It shuts off Eldrazi Displacer, which like maybe means that we can bully our opponent at some other point in this game. One should probably take this opportunity to kill my Rhino. They may blink their own Palace Jailer instead. That's a fine line as well. Yep. But like now their Batterskull's active again because my oof is gone. This entire game has just been like, I need a lightning bolt so that I can do all of the things. And I've never been able to draw one. Did we forget about Batterskull? It seems like we forgot about Batterskull. Do, do you have something that I'm not thinking of? So you're just trying to kill Oko? I can chump block and keep Oko alive. I think removing the Thalia from play. Oh, my opponent can just recast it. That's awkward, isn't it? Maybe they won't see it. We'll make them see it. See if they have a walking ballista to punish my decision to block. Sure. That makes me want to fetch away the brainstorm that's on top of my library. I don't know that Chalice on 1 is the right play. Like, it seems like the only way I'm probably getting back into this game is by getting more Rhinos. Like, it's obviously fine. It doesn't matter whether or not I have vegetables. I can't afford to draw a dead card. Womp womp womp. If I get to just like play Uro multiple times in a turn because my opponent bounces it with Caracas. Speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Now maybe I die before I can survive 4 turns. That's pretty likely if my opponent plays well. But I think they should have equipped their Batter Skull in the previous turn cycle. Like, unquestionably, getting a vigilant creature that would have killed Oko on its own or gained them a whole bunch of life makes it much harder for me to actually win via Rhinos if I get them in play. Oh, that's bad. They have another land to get that Sword of Fire and Ice in play this turn. That's pretty catastrophic for me. Well, and by that I mean in play and equipped. They do. Okay, I don't think I can beat that. Like, if they didn't have that, there's a very real chance that I just use Uro to gain enough life to keep me from dying. I do not like how opponent has played out this game. Like, they could have a Batter Skull on one of these creatures as well, as of right now. I don't know how I ever beat that. That's not great. Blue, blue, green, green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My opponent can bounce my Uro, put in Batter Skull, equip Batter Skull in this turn cycle to Eldrazi Displacer. That's pretty good for them. Or not, not is fine too. What? Why? I wonder if my opponent is just like freaked out because their clock is low and they're like playing poorly because of it. Oh, Cindervines is great. I don't believe I'm getting this Uro attack here, also. Yes, thank you. Shardless Agent is slightly awkward here, because if I hit a non-creature spell, I have to pay for it, so I think I'm just going to play Uro again. Just take the life. Just try to stay alive for a couple of turns. The other way I can win this is by timing my opponent out at this point. I don't know that I actually get to do that. Yep, and I just get to like do it again next turn. Baraka is herpa derpa 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 derp. Yeah, I'm Cindervising Sword of Fire and Ice. I can't realistically answer the Batterskull. A large walking ballista is kind of annoying here. Priest does not get Uro. Sure. And I think I'll go ahead and take a chump block this turn and not take 9 damage, or not take 7 damage. Yeah, I think I am intending on winning via timeout now. Oh, a braid is sick. Oh shit, I forgot about the chalice. Oops, 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 oops. So focused on like trying to mess up the Batterskull if things get right. Order. Alright, I don't have time to think. I just need to like kill this in combat, I guess. Cost me 3 mana, so I'll pass the turn. I could have Shardless Agent if I wasn't an idiot, but I was an idiot. That's okay. Oh, does my opponent actually have Reality Smashers? Ooh, that's bad. Oh, please equip to the Reality Smasher. I didn't do it. And their Batterskull died. Straight up died. I don't think I suspend Ancestral Vision. I don't think I take the clicks to do that. Shit, I forgot to attack with Dreadhorde Arcanist. Just trying to, like, not die to time. Blood Moon seems great. I will cast that. For 4 is fine. Cuts him off of colorless mana. Oh wow, they let me become the Monarch. That seems poor. Alright. The only reason that I cashed this league is because my opponent played very poorly in that last game. Like, my opponent had so many different chances to take different lines, and I should have lost. So, exactly what I said happened when they cast the Chalice on 1 happened. So, when they cast that Chalice on 1, I said, yeah, but isn't the only way that they lose if I get more Rhinos? And that was exactly what happened, is I got 4 more Rhinos, and I stalled out the board and timed them out. I maybe could have, like, actually won that game given infinite time. But, like, opponent did a number of things wrong. Like, the Chalice was bad. Not equipping their Batterskull to get a Vigilant Threat and do more damage was bad. Letting me become the Monarch was bad. Letting their Batterskull die was bad. I think they got flustered because they were low on time and started playing poorly. I think that is exactly what happened. Like, I made some mistakes as well because I was low on time. Like, I lost a Ponder to a Chalice that I didn't need to. Oh, another real bad one was I got an Uro attack that I should not have gotten because my opponent was just used to passing during my turn because I had these Dreadhorde Arcanists. But I got an extra card and 3 extra life from Uro that I didn't deserve. So, like, we take that, but I did not deserve it. Like, I deserved to lose that game. Like, my opponent certainly had it. Um, we fished so hard for Lightning Bolt in the beginning of that game and never got it. And like after missing out on Lightning Bolt for so many turns, I'm just like super surprised that I actually won that game. This deck just feels bad to me. It did not feel bad to me the last time I played it. But like I had so many clunky starts. My Dreadhorde Arcanists aren't as good as the Dreadhorde Arcanists in other decks, in my opinion, at least. Because like they were a little bit harder to protect. They often like sat there and couldn't get through. Like I think I need more removal in this deck. Like this Tarmogoyf was supposed to be a Brazen Borrower, so like keep that in mind. But I think I need more beyond that. Like there's a lot of top end here with like Uro, Oko, and Klothys, and Bloodbraid, and Shardless. Like I think I need to smooth out the early game with more removal, and preferably a couple of things that can kill multiple of my opponent's creatures at once. I think a huge weakness of this kind of deck is that Delver forces removal on it, so Dreadhorde sticks. Yeah, so like we don't have a lot of other early creatures, so like our opponent can just remove our Dreadhorde. Like we're kind of okay with that, like because they're medium, but I don't know. It feels like there's too much going on in this deck and there's not enough focus. Like sure we get rewarded with like drawing 7 cards or making 4 Rhinos sometimes, and like those hands are really strong, but like we lost a game after drawing what 11 or 12 cards over 2 turns. I want more low end stuff if I were to try this deck again. But honestly, I'm not super stoked. Like I should have just gotten pounded this league. Like we crossed the finish line. Like we hit 60%, so I come out ahead. But like, eh. I also didn't really feel like my sideboard did anything most of the time. Like Leyline and Mystical Dispute are narrow enough that they're not super generic. And so like that leaves me with this pile of cards as my actual sideboard for most fair matchups. And I don't know that this is enough. So like if you're playing against a fair deck that doesn't care about artifacts or enchantments, the sideboard does like almost zero. And maybe that's because you're expecting to beat them game one anyway, but like, eh. Goblin Lackey, the answer is Cascade. Yeah, yeah, you figured it out. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you today. If you're enjoying my content, please consider following, subscribing, donating, doing something to help support it. Next stream will be Soldiers. I don't know exactly when that's going to be. Things are kind of sporadic for me right now. On the radar, starting next week, we'll be playing with the the decks from the deck building challenge. So I'll probably end up getting around to playing this one on Monday. And next Saturday, I'm going to be playing some elves with Newton, Hello Newton, who has been doing a lot of great work on the deck. Uh, do I want to play Monster Train? Let me see what the girlfriend is up to. I'll be right back. Yeah. Yeah, we're monster training. Should have